one thing that has always been there is that people of color have not had a fair representation in terms of leading not only football but other sports. Apart from the NBA, apart from America, there we can grant them because that is different, and we'll get to that in a minute. But in terms of football, Queen Nikki, we're talking about the 5 top leagues in England, in Spain, in Germany. I thought you said Germany is not top 5 because ionekani kwingine and I watch it.
Haiko. Endelea tu na topic yako. Unataka tena nikupulia hizo stats za last time?
It's in the top 5 leagues. Come on.
We say let's say elite leagues in terms of football.
Right. So England, Spain, Germany, Italy, and France. Less than 3% of the head coaches are of a colored descent. Now, my question is this to you. And this is when our discussion is again 0733 222 105. Why are people of color not getting a fair representation, especially in the top 5 leagues of football? Before I get to some stats,
I think number one is I would say the recruitment plan, because you're more likely to hire, and we've had that problem even within Africa, even within our KPL. I don't know where the perception came from, but you're more likely to hire
Caucasian.
Caucasian is not even the right term, because technically Caucasians are also full of color, by the way. So you're more technically aligned to hire a European manager than you are to hire, let's say, an African manager or a mixed race manager or an Indian manager, because we're only seeing one right now. One.
And our league has a tendency of going to South American managers.
European managers, we would rather hire someone like, what's his name, the guy that we had before, huo msemo alikuwa anakuja na ile paper ya kusketch akiandikanga. Engine guy.
The Fiat guy. Fiat, sorry. Fiat is a car.
We were more inclined to hire European managers. Even here, that's what I'm saying, as much as we're seeing it in the top leagues, but even here in Africa, we have that problem, which is unfortunate, because we more likely should be building our own, but unfortunately, we don't do that.
We should be building our own, but we do not have that.
So the top leagues,
yes.
If you look at who is represented, and this has been a conversation, especially in English football, for the longest time. Patrick Vieira had mentioned it.
He was there at Crystal Palace for a minute.
Yes, he mentioned it. We've seen Ruud Gullit.
Was it Chelsea?
He was one of the people who mentioned it. I think right now, if you look across Izo League Zote Joe, the only manager I can think of top of mind who is a person of color is Vincent Kompany at Bayern Munich.
Vincent Kompany at Bayern Munich. And recently, your pal that was told by Maria Canis, we don't do that here in Nottingham Forest. Nuno Espirito Santos.
Nuno Espirito Santos, I think, was the only one in the Premier League after Kompany went to Germany.
True. Actually, yeah, quite true. And if you look at if you look at back in the history, some of former managers of color that have been that have represented. You talked about Ruud Gullit. There's also let me just get them. There was Tony Pulis. Okay. Who was appointed by there's the original Tony Collins, sorry, not Tony Pulis, who was appointed by Rochdale in 1960. And he won the League 2 Cup final right there. And then you remember Chris Hughton? Chris Hughton, manager of Newcastle United, Norwich City, Brighton and Hove Albion, in terms of the Premier League. And then there was Paul Ince, former Manchester United striker, became the first black English manager in the Premier League when he took charge of Blackburn Rovers in 2008. Till then, I think, like you said, Nuno Espirito Santos, Patrick Vieira, and now Vincent Kompany recently of Burnley. That's it. As we speak right now in the Premier League, none.
Yeah. After you fire Nuno, who's left?
There's no one.
There's no one. And that the risk of losing the generational idea of black managers. You've said there's the recruitment factor. Correct? Because let me give you a stat that's a bit worrying.
Correct.
In the period of the last 30 years, 50% of non-black managers are more likely to get into management over black managers. So if
say that again.
So if it's all 10 of you have done the same thing, you have the same coaching badges. Out of 10 of you, 5, you're guaranteed 5 of the 10 are definitely getting jobs. The 5 who are all European, of European descent. And then from these other ones, let's say maybe there's an Asian guy, there's an black Jamaican, or an African American, or an African from Africa, or you have an Indian from the other side, or well, let's say an Arab or a Chinese manager. You have to start now fighting to try and get that percentage. Another stat that's not even a bit, it is
worrying.
Quite concerning is
Yes.
a black manager is 40% more likely to be fired than a white manager. With factors to do with performance. Which kind of makes sense. Look at how fast Nuno was fired compared to how Amorim is still there.
Jeez. Yeah, true. And then if you're talking about current, okay, apart from now, Nuno Espirito Santos obviously left Nottingham Forest. We're talking about Darren Moore at Port Vale. That is League 2. Now, let's bring it home. Let's bring it to Africa. Okay? More importantly, let's look at what was happening not only in Chan, but at AFCON, or even in the World Cup. The only manager right there in terms of the Moroccan national team, Regegrui. If you think about him, now with Morocco, he was once of Casablanca. That if you think about him and taking Morocco to where they went, not only in the World Cup but also in terms of Chan and everywhere else, can we take that in Kenya? And we say, for example, or in East Africa, Kenya already have Benny McCarthy. Like, you know what? We can grow our own. We can grow our own manager. Like Uganda can say, we can grow our own manager. TZ, the same thing.
I think the issue is not even growing like from your own country, like the way Morocco have done it, within your own continent. Because like I was telling you, even within our own continent, we have that problem. Because look at Zambia's manager. Former Chelsea manager. When he was asked about
Avram Grant.
when he was asked about how come Zambia was performing poorly, his response was so rhetorical. Like his response was so like yes, you've been given a job, this is the national team, but you don't value the tournament that you're in. We repeated this the last time when we were talking about why we need to promote African managers more. He was very nonchalant in saying, that was not the focus. But when you look at a Sudan with a Ghanaian manager, Sudan went so far considering the fact that you were playing a team of footballers who weren't active in terms of their national league. But you managed to get further than this so-called experienced manager from Chelsea, former Chelsea manager.
I don't even know where, and I like that you mentioned it earlier on, but in terms of the percentage, among the 92 clubs in the top 4 tiers of English football, 92. There's only one black manager, Saizi. One colored manager. Okay, black. We look at colored managers in a little bit, but just one right now. And yet, it's not like they're not going for their licenses. It's not like they're not studying.
They are, which is why when we were saying it's concerning, because you can't say we've done the same exam, we've done the same thing, but 41% you're more likely to be fired if you're a black manager over a white manager. It's
crazy.
It's crazy. And then you 41%. See
41%.
Across all management roles, a black person is 17% more likely to be fired.
17% likely to be fired. Now, 3,500 players in the research. 17% of the black players played in the Premier League with an average of 62 appearances per player. With 62% of the non-black players appeared in the top flight with an average of 49 appearances. So, there's more appearances for colored players, including black players, playing. But in terms of
management,
that's where they draw the line. While non-black players appeared in the top flight with an average of only 49 appearances against 62. Our discrepancy or our problem is this: that discrepancy needs to be cut out, because I still believe that, you know what, in this day and age, football should represent all races.
Everyone watches football, and I think it should go down to merit. How good are you as a manager, regardless of whatever race you are? How good are you? You understand? I'm not going to keep giving you chances just because you come from a certain place in Europe.
True.
You understand?
True.
Because at some point there was that preference of managers from a certain country are better than managers of XYZ country. It should not be like that. How good are you? You know the way we can easily say defenders from the Italian league tend to be the best defenders because that league is more defensive.
Correct.
You understand?
Yes.
It should just come down to merit. XYZ manager is a good manager because of ABCD, not because you're not giving this person a chance just because of the color of their skin, just because they're a different shade of brown. Because there's someone who told me that once, and I was like, that can end racism in the whole entire world when you tell everyone we're technically all different shades of brown.
What do you mean? Someone told you that?
Yeah. It's like, what do you mean? There's no white, black, yellow, red, whatever. It's like we're all different shades of brown. You're either wheat, you're either cream, you're either light brown, you're either beige, you're all a shade of brown. And when we start looking at the world like that, it will be so much more peaceful.
Yeah,
So you
Mbali.
can imagine in 2023, Joe,
Mhm.
a group of former black managers, which
Yes.
included also Ruud Gullit, was saying there are no real opportunities for black managers. Yes, you've studied, you've gotten your badges, you've paid the same amount of money any other manager has paid, but the opportunity, that's what I'm saying, the recruitment, the opportunity. Vieira has been jobless for how long?
Yeah.
Manager being fired every day. How come Vieira has not been offered a job? You understand?
No, Vieira is in Serie A. Vieira is in Serie A, Genoa. He's a manager of Genoa.
Genoa now.
Yes.
But
yes.
like, he was jobless for how long until he got to Genoa?
It
From
was,
Crystal Palace.
it was a minute.
Like, give him the opportune chance to do. We've seen, Espirito Santos will lose 2 games in a row and he's fired. And you'll come in and bring an Ange Postecoglou who will lose you 10 games, but he'll still be there.
I mean, can you imagine if Nuno was at West Ham with these losses? Since the latter part of last
Yes.
season with Graham Potter.
I think the only league where I can say, and I don't mean to be biased,
yeah.
where I can say there's fair firing
Yes.
is the Italian league.
Uko naye, whatever shade, like your pal was saying.
Whatever shade of brown you are, you're going to be fired.
And then you look at other leagues that are excelling with, colored managers. Let's go to the NBA, for example. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right now. Mike Brown is the current coach of the New York Knicks. Tyronn Lue is the current coach of the Los Angeles Clippers. Again, these are not small teams. If you equate them to the Premier League, you're talking about top 5 big teams right there. Darvin Ham is right now the coach, and he's now the coach and former assistant coach of the Milwaukee Bucks right about now. Okay, and then Byron Scott, who is a former American professional basketball player and coach in the National Basketball Association, which is NBA. Right now, he is at the Los Angeles Lakers. So he won it with the Los Angeles Lakers. He's part of the board right there. And then we have the likes of Morris Chick, who serves as an assistant coach for the New York Knicks. Now, so if you look at these managers, is it about the leagues? Because other notable ones: James Jones, general manager of the Phoenix Suns; Masai Ujiri, president of the Toronto Raptors. Listen to these titles: Landry Fields, general manager of the Atlanta Hawks; Kobe Altman is the president of the basketball operations of the Cleveland Cavaliers; Troy Weaver, general manager, Detroit Pistons; Nico Harrison, general manager, Dallas Mavericks; Raphael Stone, general manager, Houston Rockets; Brand Wright, general manager of the San Antonio Spurs. And finally, Scott Perry has held executive positions including the New York Knicks. So
basketball has the most amount of colored managers of color.
Correct.
Because if you...
And also the player percentage.
I would want to pose this question to you, Joe.
Right.
What is the backstory of when it comes to racism within the NBA? Because you see, when you look at football, there was a time they would never even allow a player of color to play in a certain team.
Right.
You understand? Because, I mean, you should watch Pele's movie, and he can tell you how difficult it was him. First of all, for him to even get into the Brazilian team, the reason he was there playing at the age he was is because you couldn't ignore him.
You could not ignore
so
him.
So the history of basketball, did they have those kind of problems? Because athletics, we did see it. In athletics, there was a time that, if you look at Jesse Owens' story, up until he became who he was, he was faced with so much racism. Up until you get into the point where you can't be ignored now anymore. You will see past the color of my skin because of my skill. So when you look at football
Mhm.
and the fact that you have more players of color, you should also have sort of at least a 50-50 split when it comes to the ethnic background of a manager.
Right. So, in terms of basketball, here's the thing. Until the late 1950s, actually 55, right about there, basketball was predominantly considered a white sport. And then you have the likes of of Bill Russell, the legend at Celtic. All right, the late Bill Russell. When he got there, he revolutionized the way the game is played. The next thing you saw other black players coming in, the likes of Wilt Chamberlain, the likes of Walt Frazier coming in, Dr. J coming in for the New York Knicks. Yet the game started evolving slowly by slowly. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar right there at the LA Lakers. Now you get into the 80s where now it becomes global. You have the likes of Magic Johnson right there with the LA Lakers. You have a young Michael Jordan making his way, so much so that right now wearing Jordans is iconic. Remembering the fact that racism in America, which is still going on in some areas, unfortunately, racism in America in the 70s and 80s was so prevalent, was so high at this time. Get into the 90s when you get into the NBA dream, into the Chicago Bulls dream team, or not even the main team itself. You had Jordan there, you had Scottie Pippen there. Orlando Magic at that time had Big Shaq, Shaquille O'Neal. So once they discover that, you know what, we can include players of color, and it becomes entertaining, then you grow a bigger audience. Look at now where NBA is. Yesterday you're hosting Nairobi Thunders, correct? And the coach at the same time. To be perfectly honest, it's a mixture of both. Wherever you want to call it, a mixture of races. But at the end of the day, it's sports. Sports gets it. Sports wins.
But why don't we extend the faith that we have in players of color into managers? Because if you look at even the MLB still has a crisis in terms of
the baseball. Yes.
Yeah, if you look at the MLB, it still has a crisis in terms of managers of color.
Yes.
Even though predominantly right now they're recruiting from the Caribbean and from Asian countries, because if you want top tier, you're going after the Dominican players, you're going after the Japanese players. These are full of color. So yet,
but the managerial is where the problem is.
But the managerial is still very, like, they're not open-minded to have a manager who's of color. I mean, the last time they had a successful manager of color was in 2018 when they had a Puerto Rican who was in charge of the Boston Red Sox, who actually won them a World Series after a dominant time.
He won the World Series with them.
Alex Cora won them a World Series after, being stagnant for so long. Like, there's even a Netflix series about how the Boston Red Sox were dominant, and then they dipped, and then some guy just came and revolutionized them. Why don't we have the same faith in managers of color the way we have in players of color? Because you can easily say the way that guys were the way that you find like someone like Klopp complaining about the AFCON because my best players are going to play there.
Keyword, my best players.
It's going to affect the team. Right now we keep saying about the way Sunderland, once the AFCON starts, Manchester United, we're going to lose key players like Mbeumo, Ahmad. These guys are coming home to play. You understand? So why don't we extend that same faith with managers of color?
It comes down to one thing for me. It's pure racism. I'm sorry. I have to say it. It is an ugly word, but it's racism. Look at combat sport, for example, on your end, the UFC. Look at the fighters that come from Africa. From I don't know if there are some from the Caribbean, but Ngannou. And I'm sorry about the rest who represent New Zealand, for example. What's his name? Adesanya. You don't say his name. But you're getting these great fighters that came from Africa, even if they moved to other countries. And yet, the leadership positions, I'm still waiting to see who will come under Dana White, who will come from a different orientation.
I think with combat sports, I can defend it slightly and say I think it is the problem will probably be in the contracts, and that comes down to your agent. But in terms of opportunities, I feel like opportunities are more diverse, and I think because they came to understand if we want this sport to grow, and this is what people need to ultimately look at, what exactly is your aim? Do you want this sport to grow? If you want the sport to grow, you need to allow diversity.
Let's go to La Liga, and I love La Liga. You know why? Because it's our home in one way or another. Most of the teams have have African players, all right, or colored players. I mean, you'd think of Atletico Bilbao, you wouldn't think of them having
the Williams brothers.
the Williams brothers.
Yeah.
If you look at Real Madrid, yeah, Chomeni is French, but you can see the lineage where he's coming from. Camavinga. Sawa sawa. Look at Barcelona, for example. Look at all these teams. But yet, when you look at the hierarchy of the clubs in terms of managers, in terms of assistant coach, nini, people of color are missing. If we can take out racism for 1 minute and look at pure credentials, I'm telling you, we'll have the best balanced sports that looks at both, not only performance, but also results. Because you can't tell me the NBA are seeing it differently. How many general managers have I read to you of all these teams? The Hawks, the Pistons.
And these are top tier teams. I
These
mean,
are
the
top-tier
Bucks is a
teams.
top tier team, so you
Yes.
can't use
The
it as an
Knicks.
excuse. The Knicks is there. So,
Yeah, American football,
mhm,
predominantly colored players.
mhm.
All right?
Management.
Management, not that so.
But you see, even if when we're going into American sports, maybe we can still play. We can still say the racism factor is there. But then when you go into other sports like tennis, we go into F1.
Mhm.
There is a lack of diversity in these particular sports, extending from the drivers to the management, extending with tennis from the players to the. We see these ugly incidents every time there's someone who doesn't look like the way a typical tennis player is supposed to look, like as if there's a look for this thing.
And I like the fact that you brought in Formula One before we go back to the National Football League. Formula One, we have Lewis Hamilton. Take away Lewis Hamilton. Take away Lewis for a minute. Maybe we can talk about what? Ayrton Senna? God rest his soul. But we can talk about Ayrton Senna, Lewis Hamilton,
And maybe the Japanese
and Yuki
and
Tsunoda.
Yuki, yeah.
Sawa. Let's go to management. I'm still waiting to see whereby someone of color will be given, management. Higher. Let's go back to the NFL. Do you know they have only one African American manager? Houston Texan. DeMarco Ryans. And he's an American professional football coach and a former linebacker, and who is the head coach of the Houston Texans. That's the only guy, DeMarco Ryans. Yet the game is full
Of players of color.
of players of
And you know
color.
the thing Patrick Vieira said when he was mentioning how troubled he is for the lack of black managers in the Premier League?
Also, there's sorry for that. There's also Michael Petway Tomlin, who is also the head coach right now of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Two.
He was also mentioning the fact that even in the Women's Super League, there is no manager of color. So it's not a matter of sijui, it's only the men. It's
No.
affecting even the women's sports.
It is.
In fact, first of all, with the women's sports, how many female managers do we even have managing female teams? I mean, that's something we need to look into.
Hey,
When we go to color,
yes.
we go to gender as well at some point because niko na maswali mingi. Niko na maswali mingi sana.
Yeah, maswali zitakuwa hapo, but it's funny. It's funny. Because if you look at let's come back to Harambee Stars. National team technical bench. We have Benny McCarthy, South African, okay? Assistant coach Vasaili Manunakis. Definitely. There's no way you can there's no, if you look at it from that standpoint, you'll see that there is a mixture, all right? Goalkeeper coach Monib Josephs. Sawa? Performance analyst Pelela Maposa. Sawa. And then that's when you go down to the rest of the guys, interim technical bench, Kimanzi, John Kamau, Zico Otieno, Arnold Origi, Michael Agianda, Wycliffe Makanga, and Noel Mandi. Now, already Kimanzi, former Harambee Stars coach, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Zico Otieno,
Former coach as well in the
Former
KPL.
coach. Former coach as well. I'm just thinking, at the end of the day, yes, we want success. Yes, we have been lied to, and I believe we've been lied to that, success comes with a certain race on how to lead in terms of our sports, mostly in Africa.
But I'd want to say, because I think the reason why you'll find in Africa maybe we have that problem is because it extends from which I would say is the most successful footballing league, which is the Premier League. So if the Premier League's image has portrayed it that way, we're all going to sort of feel like success looks a certain type of way.
That's mental.
It's beginning to look like that, because you can look at it even in the fact of just English managers generally. Nowadays we've already started saying English managers are just not up to par. English players are not up to par. You understand? It does sort of set the tone. The Premier League does sort of set the tone in terms of how you would think about what successful football needs to look like. So I think we need to, first of all, we need to give fair opportunities.
All right.
When does it get to a point where you feel like a manager isn't successful? Is it after 10 losses? Is it after a season of losses? Is it after 3 seasons of you not feeling that the team is where it needs to be? And does that cut across to everyone? The opportunities, first of all, I'll go back to the opportunities. You can't tell me that reports are published and it's being revealed that it's 43% of Premier League managers, who have taken their badges and everything, proper managers that have studied of color, 43% of them are there, and only 4% of these managers are getting jobs.
True.
It looks concerning. The opportunity is not there. And these stats, like you go on FIFA and you go on UEFA and they tell you 14% of top coaches qualifying with a UEFA Pro license are black. And out of all those, only 1.6% of those are hired.
Only
1.6%.
Wow.
So the FA, the Football Association, created some diversity code that in 2020 that was supposed to tackle this. But up until now, what is that diversity code like? How has it helped?
How has it helped? Let's look at the Saudi Pro League just for a minute in terms of the managers. Okay. So you're looking at the managers. There is a German, there is a Spaniard, there's a Portuguese, there's a Greek, there's a French, there are 2 Portuguese again. Then you get to the first Saudi Arabian manager. That is Said Al-Heri. All right? That's the first Saudi manager we're getting to. Sawa. And he's the current manager of Al-Attifaq. Okay? And then we go down. We have Simeone Inzaghi right there. He's Italian. We have Jalal Kadri, who's the current manager of Al Hazem, and he's from Tunisia. So we are looking at Arabian, or should I say, how do I put it better?
What, Tunisian?
No. Managers from the Middle East.
Yeah.
So Middle East origin managers, and that's it. The only 2.
But I think with the Middle East, it can be a
in
topic
the Saudi
for,
Pro League.
I
Only
think it
2.
can be a topic for another day, because of the fact that I don't even feel like they promote their own football players. You remember I mentioned this to you a while ago, Joe.
Yes. Correct,
yeah, I don't
correct.
feel like... I feel like the Saudi Pro League is... I don't know, ni kama vile unacheza FIFA. You select the best of the best alafu unacheza.
Tinkani unacheza FIFA.
Ama siku hizi mnaitanga nini? Si haitanga FIFA anymore.
FC. EAFC.
Okay.
Yes.
That
one. But yeah, like we've said, it's deeply concerning. 0733 What do you think about the current situation whereby there's no balance between colored managers or managers of colored descent as compared to European or North American managers? What do you think about that disparity? 0733 is our WhatsApp number. Also, our number in terms of calling 0748 999 Before we even go to our break, what you said that right there, we're talking about managers on this side, but the way you mentioned about the Saudi Pro League, that in itself is a topic, by the way.
For another day, it is,
because now the Saudi Arabian team that should play for the World Cup,
you can't import talent.
Qatar did it. They bought even Kenyan athletes.
And how Kenyan athletes, yes, but in terms of football, I know their footballing star is from TZ. But then again, when you think about it in that essence, TZ and most of the coast of Kenya also does sort of have ethnically, ethnically Arabs that have that migrated. You understand, from
Middle East.
Oman,
Yeah, yes.
from Qatar. So
Yeah.
you're like, okay, yeah, maybe he's Tanzanian, but you don't know his ethnic background. He could be from Oman or somewhere. So that's a bit understandable, but there's so much in terms of, I feel like within the Middle Eastern culture about sports that's not taken seriously.
Right.
That's the reason you have to end up importing rather than home growing athletes, football players, rugby players. Even the rugby team, there's a time the rugby team, Qatar rugby team, came to play with Kenya. And I was looking at them and I was like, first of all, 5 of you look Fijian.
The other 5 look New Zealand.
Eh.
So here's the thing. I think for me, my parting shot with this matter is as simple as it. Start somewhere. The Premier League started. The Football Association, which is the oldest football association in the world, which is in the UK, started somewhere. It might take time, yes, it might take time for it to garner marketably, but promote.
You know the sad part
other
about this thing.
cultures.
The sad part about all this thing, Joe, is you look for these things online and you'll see FA introduced some no kick out.
Yes,
you know,
racism
and stuff. The
Taking
Premier
about-
League established no room for racism action plan in 2021,
Right,
which is aimed to increase the opportunities for Black, Asian, and minority ethnic individuals.
right.
But then ni campaign tu,
Oh,
ni campaign hiyo ma social media na mahashtag, alafu
Usijali
hapo on ground
Senika tu 2027 general election. Ni campaign tu. On ground vitu ni tofauti.
vitu ni tofauti on ground, my guy. More opportunities for Asian and Black and ethnic minorities. Kwanza hapo kwa ethnic minorities.
Correct. But you'd say that and then you look at cricket. Again, cricket, ethnic minorities. If you're looking at the league in India, for example, again, look at the league in India. Very few players are from abroad. In the Indian Premier League, as compared to theirs. Okay, you'll get some players from Bangladesh, but most of them are from India. Okay, if you look at the England setup, you miss 1 or 2, colored players. Okay, who are obviously are from England descent. But I think this is conversation for another day. Is it paired with the type of sport? If you think about it,
Sorta.
like the NBA,
Sorta.
you're used to African Americans because either they're physical or they're taller, and that's why they're dominant. They're dominating in that. Also, the American Football League. If you look at soccer, and the MLS, again, very few Americans.
But
A lot
yeah,
of
they tend to
imports.
import a lot of Hispanic people, and then when they get
And there
angry,
you go now.
and then when they get angry with them, they send ice on them.
Ooh, hey! Trump was just chilling.
Unless you're Puerto Rican, then they can't. But like, for me, I feel like if the opportunity, the playing ground needs to be level
Yes.
in terms from management to players, because I
Yeah.
don't understand these initiatives and everything. And you say some sports, yeah, maybe the ethnic background because I grew up playing this game. You understand?
Yeah.
Does have an advantage. But then don't you think if I grew up watching this game as well, I understand it?
True. And if you have studied for it,
Yeah.
again, any
For you to
person
pass and get the badges, it means you know what you're doing.
with any type of color or, like you said, tone of skin,
Tone of
can
brown.
get
Tone of brown.
can get a UEFA badge,
Yeah.
can get a FIFA Pro badge.
But there's a friend of mine once who told me something,
Yes.
because he's doing his badges right now. He's of Algerian descent. And he told me to even get the exams. To get the exams, because you do C, B. He's doing his B licensing right now.
The UEFA B licensing.
And he was telling me even to get the exams, the amount of, let's say, we're taking 30 people.
Right.
He was telling me from those 30, 20-something will be of European descent. And 4 or 5 will be of colored descent. From that colored descent, now you coming from Africa
Yes.
have to fight to get that one seat because you're a Kenyan Algerian.
It's funny because Barcelona, on the other hand, every time on my Instagram, they're sending me messages on, you know what, you can get licensing, you can be a coach, you can be a tactician, you can be all this under Barcelona. Now that is different because clubs now are looking at, how can
Academies.
they be academies, and how can you be more profitable? Yeah, let's get coaches, let's get cash from them, and let's train them. Then after that, Bob's your uncle. We'll get you maybe an internship somewhere, and then after that, we'll just have a job.
But then my question would come to this training.
Yeah.
At some point you need to, it's the same way umefunzwa kuendesha gari na sister yako.
It's
At some point you'll need that driving license.
I like the fact that you picked her sister, but that's fine.
Yeah, because all my sisters drive, I don't. Me now go at my big age.
0733222105. The question is simple as this: why is there a disparity, or why is there a big rift between colored individuals in terms of sports leadership and either Europeans, North Americans, or to some extent even South Americans? Yeah, to some extent even South Americans. And where is there that disparity in terms of management level in sports?